Hi beauties. Today we're going to talk about cervical mucus. A lot of you had mentioned that you want to find out more about age-related challenges, and this is something that I hear from a lot of women. They want to know, how can I make more cervical mucus? What do I need to produce more? What do I need to eat? What do I need to do for my body? So we're going to kind of break it down into a couple pieces today. We're going to talk about why cervical mucus is so incredible. I'm such a nerd about it. We're going to talk about how you can tell your peak days based upon your cervical mucus, how to find out what your cervical mucus is doing, aka body literacy, which I'm a huge fan of. And then we're going to talk about why your cervical mucus might not be produced as much as you would like, and then what you can do to support it in terms of food and some lifestyle issues. So we're going to jump in. So cervical mucus is obviously the mucus that your cervix makes when you are nearing ovulation. So there's many different kinds of mucus, and very important thing to know is that after you have your period and before you ovulate, you're going to have wet days with cervical mucus. So even if you have, so there's two different kinds. There's actually many different kinds, but we're going to talk about two. We're going to talk about peak mucus and non-peak mucus. So peak mucus, and this is based in the fertility, awareness method, the FAM method. So peak mucus is that mucus that's like the egg white. When you stretch it between your fingers, it's kind of like that slippery, slidey thing. So non-peak mucus would be any other mucus that you experience. That is still considered fertile mucus if you are feeling it before you ovulate. So how do you feel for it? I was under the impression many years ago, and that has changed after I've done more research, that you can put your fingers outside of your vulva and feel the mucus, or you can actually stick your fingers up into your vagina and feel the mucus at the top of your cervix. However, I have found that the best way to determine peak mucus and non-peak mucus is through testing before and after you use the bathroom. So you want to take some toilet paper and wipe it from your vagina to your anus, and it's going to pass over the perineum, which is that little swath of skin in between your vagina and your vulva and your anus. So as you're moving the toilet paper from there to there, it's going to either feel really dry or it's going to have a slippery texture to it. So you're going to do that and get yourself really acquainted with what it feels like when it is slippery, or when there is some wetness and moisture there that kind of feels a little slippery. So as you move towards ovulation from your cycle, that fluid is going to change from creamy to more thinner and clear to like this mucus. So I apologize, there's a garbage truck out front. So you're going to be checking this regularly throughout your day. I recommend getting a book where you can keep track of it. This is a charting journal that I have, and it's like little charts all through it, where you put your basal body temperature on one side and you put other notes, cervical mucus, whatnot, on the other. This is a great way to do it. I'm sure there's some apps that let you do it, but I kind of wanted to have a more hands-on approach. So that's how you check the mucus. So here's what's important. Fertile mucus is non-peak and peak. Both of them are fertile. Peak mucus is more fertile because it has this quality that is really hospitable to sperm. There's all these like strings through it that kind of like are super highways for sperm to go through and move through space quicker. There's much more, there's other qualities to that mucus that are much more hospitable to sperm as well. However, regular non-peak mucus is also fertile because your sperm can survive in it for 5 days, okay? So up your cervix, along the sides, there are these little crevices, like little cracks in the wall, like on the inside. They're channels that the sperm can go up into and hang out in. And then at some point when you're ovulating, they'll get pushed out and they will move through your cervix. So really fun, cool, amazing science about the crypts in your cervix. So that's the next part. So how do you know when you ovulate is the question, right? Because if that mucus is fertile until ovulation, what happens after ovulation is that your progesterone surges and it dries that mucus up, okay? So you can tell when 80% of the time, your peak day will indicate that you have ovulated or that ovulation is occurring. So peak day is the last day that you get that slippery peak mucus in between your fingers before the change. So there's going to be a change. That change indicates progesterone's going up, mucus is changing. You 80% of the time have ovulated. So those days leading up to it, those couple days up leading up to it are the most fertile ones. Okay, got it? Cool. I think everyone should be using this method. I think using LH strips are actually not accurate from my clinical experience. Women who have PCOS don't really get good results from them because their LH never goes where it needs to go. If you're stressed out, you could get an LH surge and then you actually don't ovulate. Your body stops you from ovulating because of stress. So start feeling your body, start getting in touch with your body and seeing what it's doing. I think it's very empowering. So that's kind of part one of my chat. So here's part two. Part two is, why is your cervical mucus not there? So when you get older, what's true is that you will have less days of wetness, less days of cervical mucus in your cycle, which makes me wonder if that's also another reason why your chances are less, generally speaking. But these are things that you can really embellish and like help and support. So I don't really like to get in that conversation of, oh, well, when you're in your early 40s, your fertility declines. And like, let's just say you might not have as many, moist days with cervical mucus. Let's say that maybe, there will be more abnormalities in your eggs. But like, let's stop talking about our fertility like it's, let's give ourselves some respect and love as we talk about our bodies, right? So here's what could be happening. So again, there's lots of things besides age, okay? So it could be nutrient deficiencies. You're not getting the nutrients you need. Fat is a really big one. Fat and fatty things create that juiciness in our body. We need that juiciness in order to create juiciness. Maybe you're not drinking enough water. You could have had medical procedures that have affected the cervix. You could have endocrine issues. And if you watch me and you pay attention to me, drumroll, thyroid, undiagnosed and not optimized thyroid function could be another reason. This is like underlying everything, the thyroid. PCOS is another reason. Adrenal fatigue, so being burnt out and stressed, that could definitely affect it. Rising estrogen causes your CM, your cervical mucus, to be produced. So anything that changes your hormone levels and reduces estrogen can impact it. Again, stress, allergies and food sensitivities, and STIs, infections. If you are experiencing anything like that, that could be another reason. So how can I make more of it, right? The big question. So I'm going to focus on foods today because I think foods are so incredible, and most of us are not eating the right kinds of foods, and we're not eating enough of the right kind of foods. So here are the different minerals that help make up the cervical mucus. So folate, right? So again, prenatal is great, but again, if you're taking a prenatal that has folic acid in it, throw it away and get one with folate in it. Folate, you want to have methylated folate because your body can break down much more, and 50% of the population can't do that, and folic acid will actually be detrimental to you. So if you tend to have multiple miscarriages and you happen to be taking a folic acid supplement, get rid of it immediately. You want to switch to methylated folate, and I recommend Thorne, Thorne. So Food sources are really important, right? Because food sources are going to give us a really rich palette to choose from for our body in terms of nutrients. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, leafy green vegetables such as cabbage, kale, spring greens, and spinach, and peas, chickpeas and kidney beans, and liver, chicken liver, which is an amazing, amazing supplement for fertility. Vitamin A is another one. Cod liver oil is fantastic. I recommend Nordic Naturals. You don't want to get just any cod liver oil because if it is not really fresh, it can be rancid and it could be detrimental to your bodies. You want to make sure you get a really good brand. Cod liver oil, again, it sounds disgusting, but Nordic Naturals makes a great one. I actually take the liquid and it's lemon flavored and it's basically like drinking oil with a little bit of lemon flavor. It does not taste fishy at all. Orange and yellow vegetables and fruits, which is also great because beta carotene is another one in there. And other sources of beta carotene like broccoli, spinach, and most dark leafy green vegetables. Zinc is a big one. So zinc is in a protein. It's a protein in a lot of foods like poultry, eggs, and seafood, beans, peas, lentils, nuts and seeds. Sunflower seeds are a great source of zinc. And if you do a handful of those a day, either on top of stews, in soups, things like that, it's a great way to integrate it. Chickpeas are also great sources, cashews and almonds. Vitamin B6 is another big one. Pork, poultry, such as chicken or turkey, I always recommend grass-fed organic meat or local from a farm that does sustainable practices and grass-fed. Some fish, peanuts. So if you're a peanut butter fan, that's a good one for you. Oats and bananas. And then vitamin B12. Beef, liver, chicken, salmon, tuna fish, clams, eggs. Eggs are amazing for fertility. They are amazing. Put an egg on like everything possible you can. So if you've heard a trend, there have been a lot of suggestions for these important minerals and vitamins in animal protein. Animal protein is a really big deal for fertility, really big deal. It will totally take your fertility to the next level if you really focus on that. And then a couple other additional things. So some women use evening primrose oil as a supplement to help them with their cervical mucus, and it needs more studies to back it up, but that's what some women do. Another thing that you want to do is you want to optimize your sleep. So if you're not sleeping enough, if you don't have good sleep hygiene, then that could affect your melatonin levels and affect your hormonal levels and your cortisol levels. It's this whole cascade. And then again, when we were talking earlier about trouble with stress being a reason that there's an issue or adrenal fatigue, that totally relates to lack of sleep as well. So again, stress relieving techniques are really important to integrate. Minimizing xenoestrogens and chemical exposures. Again, in my fertility formula method PDF that a lot of you got, it talks about how to do that, how to eliminate toxins in your environment. Also, you want to identify allergies or food sensitivities. You can get a food sensitivity test. I would also recommend testing IgG and IgE. One of them is an anaphylactic response that people generally know for allergies, like, oh yeah, like my face swells up. But there's also more subtle allergies that happen in your body that are different immune moderated and mediated ones. So you want to check those as well. And there are some companies that do that. I think there's one called Simplex, where they tell you all the foods that you have subtle allergies to. And then you want to rule out any endocrine disorders and hormonal issues. So again, thyroid, PCOS, hypothalamic amenorrhea, and adrenal issues. So I hope that helps you, ladies. If you have any questions, pop them below in the box. And I'm sending you a lot of love and hope today. All right.